I'm Anthony O'Donnell, editor of Insurance Innovation Reporter, and this is Life Accelerated, a podcast for life insurers who want to achieve digital transformation. So let's talk about your current role as head of strategic capabilities at New York Life and its relation to innovation and transformation. What are your overall responsibilities, and what's your brief when it comes to innovation and transformation?
Thank you, Anthony, and thank you for having me here. Yeah, my current role spans a number of important areas that really do connect together to drive change at the company collectively. I've got planning and strategy, technology, our New York Life Ventures, corporate venture capital unit, underwriting, data science and AI, and data strategy and enablement. And all those collectively are key elements of how we drive change and modernize the company to support our overall mission, which is to provide peace of mind and financial security for families across the country.
As a strategist and change agent, what do you see as the greatest challenges of transformation, and what are ways that you address them at New York Life?
So the biggest challenge often is how do you ensure that you've got a really clear understanding of the long-term strategy of the organization, and then how change really benefits the ability for us to execute on that strategy and drive the kind of alignment that we know we want to have with our mission and our values. And I've also got a role as part of the Executive Management Committee and one of the 4 principal leaders of our foundational business, which is our agency-centric business, which is really the heart of the company, hence foundational business. And as an example, that foundational business has really been coming together as one business over the last 2 years, really. We had been run as individual business unit P&Ls that were aligned more with each of the different product areas. And that's now being pulled together as one business. And that's a very important strategic move. It also has huge implications for what we need to do to change the way in which we operate together. And New York Life is well known for its collaboration. It's a very forward-thinking organization. As a mutual insurance company, we do have the luxury of being able to take a longer-term view. We're not driven by near-term quarterly earnings results that we have to drive. Doesn't mean we're not results-oriented, but we can look longer-term. And as a AAA institution, our financial strength enables us to take that long-term view and ensure that we're prepared. So our ability to then focus on that longer-term change that is needed in the organization starts with how do you ensure that you have business leaders that understand the strategy and understand how we need to work with all of the various strategic capabilities that are needed to drive change forward. And technology is a core part of that. And so one of the big things we're focused on is ensuring that our business leaders have an understanding of their role in the context of that broader strategy.
You work for a company that was founded before the Civil War. New York Life has a proud history, and following the financial crisis of 2008-2009, the company asserted its mission as a mutual company in a way that I'd say was not exactly flattering to some of the biggest names in the business, including in the New York area, that had demutualized. So from a philosophical point of view, as opposed to a practical point of view, how does New York Life balance its historical legacy, its perennial mission, its core mission, with technology modernization?
Yeah, so that's one of the key dilemmas, right? So the innovators dilemma, often you've got a very large established company, very successful. How do you drive change at an organization like that? And New York Life is not alone in having to face that challenge. But as a mutual, we do have the ability to ensure that we are taking that long-term view, as I noted, and taking our time to make sure that we're doing the right things and that we are able then to invest in areas that require a long-term view. We've been on a journey to modernize a lot of our core legacy technology platforms. We still have mainframe systems that date back to the 1970s and 1980s for policy administration, as an example. And we started our journey to modernize all of that core technology suite. And we started with our new business and underwriting area, which is really focused on the entirety of the application process and underwriting. And that has come a long, long way. We'll be rolling out a new platform later this year and into next year that enables a lot of the modern aspects of how you want to be able to go to market and meet customer and agent expectations in the modern age. We've made a lot of advancements already around electronic applications and enabling fast-track underwriting without the need for collecting your blood and other fluids to get lab information. And we've made advances there, but the new platform will really enable us to bring that all together with a heightened focus on how do we automate and how do we create a better experience for our agents and for our customers. So that's a first very important step forward. And then next on the horizon will be a lot of our core policy administration and compensation systems. So driving that focus is a very large investment. Tens of millions of dollars will be well over $100 million of investment just in this area. And that's something that you can't take lightly and requires a long-term view to make sure that you're doing that in a good way. And the other key area that we're looking at modernizing is really enhancing what is the core of our value proposition, which is our human-centered advice and guidance that our agents and advisors provide to clients and families across the country. And there we've made a lot of investments in developing better customer relationship management platform, as well as ensuring that we've got a much better ability for those agents and advisors to engage in robust dialogue with their clients around what their clients' needs are within a protection-first planning framework, but enabled by tools that can be used at the point of sale to really make the purchase process much easier. Understanding that not just from a transactional basis, but really ensuring that our agents and advisors understand their clients' needs holistically and can solve for them with a broad array of solutions that we can bring to bear, but within a very important context of understanding needs over a long-term horizon and ensuring that we've got a focus on enabling those families to protect what matters most, but also to prosper in the long term. And that's core to what we do as a company. In many ways, that is the key value that we deliver. And it's an important dynamic of what we do, and ensuring that that is also a modern process is critical. And so we've developed a new tool called Guide Me, which is our first step towards creating that digital sales platform that really enables that kind of client and advisor experience to blossom.
One of the ways New York Life has embraced the InsurTech movement was by founding New York Life Ventures. What does New York Life Ventures do as an autonomous entity, and what is its role in accelerating innovation at New York Life?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our New York Life Ventures is a corporate venture capital group that was formed a decade ago. We were early to the InsurTech space. In fact, I think we helped coin that term. And we've got a really good focus on having that group as a means of not only generating really good investment returns, which they have done, really excellent track record there over the past decade, and that's to the benefit of our general account returns, which then end up going back to policy owners in the form of dividends over time. But we've also got a very important focus in that group on business development, and that is looking at startups with an eye to what tech can they bring to the company to enhance what we do and to modernize. So we go through proofs of concept, and we will do dozens of proofs of concept every quarter, and those lead to implementations very often where we've got a real leg up on how we get a fast track of those capabilities coming into the company to enhance some aspect of what we do. And an example of that is empathy. This is a platform that is focused on supporting families at the time of the loss of a loved one. As I'm sure you know, that is a very difficult experience to go through. And just as you're dealing with the grief that comes with that, you're also faced with all these logistical management issues of how do you cope with all the things that you go through personally, but all the financial things you have to cope with, and the support for the broader family. And if you've got a more complicated estate type situation, that can be even harder to work through. So Empathy has a platform that really enables that connectivity and allows people to really understand and help guide them through the process of all the things that they'll need to manage through in that difficult time. So that's just one example of a company that we've invested in and that is a real partner with us in this space of offering that kind of capability to our beneficiaries, and we've made that available to our beneficiaries across the company. A third important leg of what Ventures does is just support innovation broadly at the company. We make sure that we are running hackathons focused on different topics and getting engagement from the employee base around different ideas and how to bring those to market. We've got a human-centered design center of excellence that supports the important focus of looking at development with that lens of human-centered design. And so all those three areas really come together: the innovation services, the business development unit, and the investment side. And there's really good synergies across all three parts.
Let's do a brief review of some of New York Life's major initiatives to improve that experience for both customers and agents. Yeah, look, the purchase experience in many ways starts with that engagement with the agent and advisor that I was alluding to before. So our Guide Me tool that we've developed, which is now really a platform, really enables a robust fact-finding assessment process with the agent or advisor and the client, really understanding what their needs are holistically and capturing them, and then really enables the understanding of how their needs can be met within a protection first framework, and then allows for the solutioning that the agent and advisor can put together a package of products and solutions that will meet the needs of that client at that moment in time, but also lays the seeds for what might be needed in the future as well. So I think that is one of the most critical parts of the purchase experience is what is it that you are purchasing, and making sure that there's the appropriate context for that is critical. The next phase is really going through the application process, and for life insurance in particular, historically that is not an easy thing. As you are looking at the process, historically it was all done on paper. Very long forms that needed to get filled in, and then going through the underwriting process, which is literally a painful process at times when you're required to give blood and fluids, and it can take a long time when you're getting attending physician statements. Those can take weeks to get. So it just makes for a very long and at times uncomfortable process. And we've spent a lot of time and energy developing a much better way to do that. So it's really digital end-to-end now for the vast majority of our applicants. There's still a paper option if people want that, but we've got very good adoption. It's in the very high 90s for all of our electronic application processes. And then underwriting, we now are at a point where we're running pretty steadily. 55 to 60% of our applications can be done without the need for fluids. And that's something that's a big step forward. We were actually at a higher point, the mid 60% range, as the pandemic was more at its peak, and we enabled more people to bypass the need to get lab results given that context. But that's a very important step forward. And then finally getting
the results from electronic health records as opposed to getting sort of paper form and faxed attending physician statements is another huge step forward. And we're really one of the leaders in that space. We've been working with Epic, Cerner, Veradigm, and healthcare information exchanges, which are all platforms that the health industry uses to exchange records, and includes patient portal data, which is, as individuals, we all often get access to our records through our providers' portals. And we've been working on ensuring that we can use those same platforms and portals to get those records digitally, as opposed to having to get them in paper form or scanned and faxed form. And that really just speeds up the process tremendously, from something that can take weeks and weeks to something that takes a day or less, and often comes in a form that is much easier for our underwriters to read through, or for us to extract information and use in models that we have that enable both that fast track accelerated underwriting, but also starting to actually look at using models for underwriting decision making. So a lot of advances there, and then electronic delivery of the application is a final piece. And all those things came to bear in spades during the pandemic. Without those capabilities, I think it would have been very difficult for us to continue to meet the need that is out there broadly for life insurance, and was very much top of mind for consumers as the pandemic was underway.
So much of the better way, as you describe it, of completing the application process obviously relies on new ways of using data. And that's a good segue for talking about New York Life's Center of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. Tell us how that came about and the work that it's doing in support of New York Life's mission.
Yeah, that's something that I'm very proud of. The Center for Data Science and AI, or CDSAI, was really formed back in 2015. It was something that I personally wanted to ensure we had as a new strategic capability for New York Life. And we really started it at that point and built the team up now to about 45 or so folks that are really bringing to bear their ability to look at application of machine learning, AI, or statistical models to really support not only our ability to get insights faster from data and make better decisions, but also looking at ways that we can automate decision making in key aspects of the business. And I'll give you a couple examples. I already touched on one, our life insurance fast track model, where we determine which applicants we can bypass the need for blood and fluids and still have a good risk assessment for determining underwriting risk class. So that's one example. But another is a very important area for us. I already mentioned our sort of core foundational business being focused on our agency distribution. And we have a somewhat differentiated model there, where are one of just a few insurance companies that have a real focus on recruiting and training at scale, as opposed to looking for already established agents and advisors to bring in to the company. And so that's core to what we do. We have tens of thousands of applicants that are looking at the agent career as an opportunity set, and we hire in the neighborhood of 4,000 every year. And so that's a very important process for what drives our business. And so to really make that work even more effectively, we have digitized a lot of the dimensions of that agent recruiting and onboarding process. And we've also introduced data science models that enable our recruiters, who are in all of our general offices around the country, to look at not just more traditional information around the applicants and using their own judgment and experience to guide the decision making around who to hire, but using models that look at more psychometric dimensions and enable us to combine that info with a lot of the other background information that we have on those recruits, and combine that with the assessment of the partner and the recruiter in that process. And that's something that has really been an important step forward for us, and paying good dividends thus far. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll talk more later about attracting talent in other areas across the enterprise. And I was going to say that I guess Fast Track is a good example of how data and AI specifically are driving the faster conclusion of new business. What role is modern data management playing specifically in driving greater speed to market of product?
Yeah, so data management is critical in so many areas, and it's something that for us has become really a lifeblood, as it is for so many companies, in how we make decisions. And getting to market faster, for product, and I'll use product in a broader term. We've got both insights that are used to help us think through what next set of product solutions we might want to develop, and what features are going to be most important and resonate the most with potential customers. But also when we look at digital product, that's another key area where we have a much better ability now to understand, as we're looking at deploying new capabilities, well, what is the adoption rate? What is the result of what has been delivered? How can we understand the impact of what we're doing on our clients and on our agents and advisors? And that understanding is critical for our ability to move in a much more agile way to continuously improve what it is that we do. So I think we've made that transition from the traditional focus of large investment getting to a major release that then stays somewhat static for a while, to much more of an agile approach. And that's really a core dimension of some of the changes that we've been making in how we have the business and technology work together to really drive change more effectively.
Well, Alex, if I can use an industry buzzword here, would it be fair to say that the center is playing a key role in terms of making New York Life a data-driven company?
Yeah, I think it has. We've they are a very core group, but we've also got some satellite analytics teams in many parts of the business, not just the foundational business, but in our strategic businesses as well, and also corporate functional areas. And CDSAI really acts as a really important connecting point and center for excellence that provides the right kind of platforms and ability for training and for education, not just of the data scientists and data engineers that are engaged in the process, but also for anybody in the company, all the employees and managers, and on the business side as well, that also need to have a really good understanding of what data science is and how it can be applied in different parts of the business. So we've stood up a data science academy, and we've got technical tracks as well as business tracks, and we've had hundreds of people go through that academy, and that gives a much better understanding of what it is that they can do to change the business and continuously improve and look for really good opportunities for us to apply data science and AI to improve the business. So that's been a very successful step forward, and that enables us really in combination with our broader move to getting our data pooled in a more effective way with a data hub, which is now moving to the cloud, to really enable all of our business leaders to have at their fingertips the information they need to really understand how the business is moving forward, understand the key drivers and the economic impact of those drivers, and make the right decisions based on data as opposed to their gut sense of what might make sense to do. And look, a gut sense is also important, no question. A lot of intuition, leadership abilities are key. But if you don't have a good solid basis in good data and good analysis, it can be easier to make a decision that's suboptimal. So it's really critical that we're now at a point that we have the availability of that data infrastructure and the ability to analyze it effectively, and that really arms our managers with the ability to make good decisions.
Alex, you have very broad responsibilities, but they all fall within your role as a business strategist. And that's something you've been your entire career, including at major financial companies before you joined New York Life. Tell us how you're applying your strategic acumen to the broader question of operational efficiency. And, you talked a little earlier about New York Life's plan for legacy core system transformation, which is obviously an important area for that.
Yeah, look, this is something that every organization continually needs to be improving what they do, and operating efficiency is certainly a part of that. I think I look at that in a broader lens of it's not always just looking for ways to do things more efficiently just for the sake of cutting cost. It's often looking for ways to enhance what you do and to do that in a way that is more efficient, but often it's the end result you're looking for is not the cost savings as much as it is an enhancement to the client experience, the agent experience, the ability for the company to do something in a more efficient way so that we can then reinvest in other areas that are more critical. And that lens of how do we automate or change processes is at the heart of a lot of what CDSAI focuses on. But we've also got a robotics process automation group that's engaged in a lot of different initiatives. We look at business process reengineering. We've got a lot of focus on scaled agile and approaches there that allow us to deliver in a much more efficient way. And so all of these are important areas of focus and what enable us to continue to drive the company forward, ensuring that we're doing that with the lens of doing it effectively and efficiently, but importantly enhancing our abilities as we go forward. And at the end of the day, it's about delivering value to the policy owner and to the agent and advisor.
Let me bring you back now to the question of talent. How is transformation changing the kinds of skill sets needed in the enterprise, and how is New York Life attracting the kind of talent it needs?
Yeah, look, this is a very important topic because any company is only as good as its people. And in the current market, as you know, there's a lot of competition for talent. And that's something that we are contending with, as every other employer is. And there are key areas where that war for talent is certainly at a pretty red hot point. Areas like digital marketing or cloud computing, engineers, data scientists, and many other areas. Over the last year, we saw a similar kind of demand increase around underwriting and service reps as well. So it's not just the highly technical areas that we're faced with this new dynamic, but certainly in those more technical specialized areas, there's a heightened degree of competition. So for us, it's about ensuring that we have a very good lens on what is it that will keep folks like that engaged and wanting to stay with the company and are attracted to join the company. And typically that is about, sometimes it's compensation, but more so I think it's people wanting to make a difference. And New York Life really is a company that provides social good. We are there to really support families in their time of need and ensure that they are able to have that financial security and peace of mind that enables them to then do so much more with their lives. So that kind of a mission and a purpose is attractive to a lot of people, and that's something that I think is important. Our mutuality and the point that we are generating returns not for a stockholder but for our policy owners is another very important aligning concept there. And then providing an environment that people know that they are part of a team, that they're not going to be a solo individual working on something that may not have full value recognition because they're part of a business that doesn't understand as much what they do or how they can contribute. I think at New York Life, we really focus on ensuring that there is a very good understanding of all these different areas, contribution to the overall strategy and the objectives that we have and the role that they play, and doing that in very close collaboration with other groups across the company. So that really is a core differentiator for us, is a highly collaborative culture. So that's a compelling thing that's enabled us to, I think, fare pretty well in this talent market.
Yeah, I agree very strongly about how important it is for people to be proud of what they're doing. I wonder also, though, about changing expectations that candidates might have about things like flexible working conditions, remote work, that sort of thing.
Yeah, no question. And a big context there is, we've got a pretty flexible model. There are a lot of roles that we determined, should be fully work at home because the nature of their role allowed it, and it was not the kind of role that needed to have a high degree of ongoing interaction that was in person. And others we designated as being in the office 3 days a week. That's our standard for the majority of employees. And as we've started to come back in, right, to the offices, we're being flexible there. We haven't required people to come in at this stage, knowing that everybody has to work at their own pace. And so we've been making sure that we take a very measured view on understanding the contributions people have made over the last couple of years. We were able to respond extremely well to pivoting everybody to work at home in a very, very short order. And the company is performing incredibly well. We had record earnings, record sales. So there's nothing we point to say, well, gee, that didn't work when we were all remote. So we get that. We know that we don't want to give up all the benefits that we have been able to take advantage of in the last couple of years. And the ability to work remotely and to work virtually, the ability that we've got to do that is not something that you just close the door on. So for us, it's a matter of ensuring that we've got the right kind of engagements for people, and that's employees or agents, that really makes them feel like they are a part of something. And for us, a lot of that is a core aspect of our culture, where we like to say we're a we place, not a me place. And a lot of that comes from the relationships that you form with your coworkers, your colleagues. And that is something that is important to who we are. And at the end of the day, I think it's important to every individual. You want to feel that you are a part of a team, you're part of something larger. That's hard to sustain if you are in a fully virtual role. And so we're absolutely focused on ensuring that when people are in the office, that they're engaging in those activities that are giving them that right kind of feedback and learning and mentorship and the interpersonal relationships that really lead to so much of what we do. And I think that's a core aspect of our focus, is how do you get that right balance and ensure that you're providing the experiences that make people want to be a part of something.
Okay, Alex, one last question. What would you regard as the 3 indispensable initiatives for driving transformation at New York Life?
Yeah, so there's many that you could maybe put under that umbrella. I'd say one is the key effort that I've already alluded to, which is modernizing the core of the company. I'd say modernization broadly is an ongoing thing, of course, but really taking that big step forward and modernizing some of our core legacy administration platforms and compensation platforms, that's really critical. That's something that will set us up for the decades to come and enable us to develop and deliver and maintain and service the kinds of insurance services and investment services that can work together really effectively to meet clients' needs. And in the absence of that, we're going to continue to be restricted with how nimbly we're able to do that. So that really is a key focus for us, is that modernizing the core. Another is the transition to the cloud. And that's something that we're already well along that journey, but there's a lot more to go. And that's a transformation that many companies have been going through, and that's something that we're going through as well. And getting that ability to ensure that we have ready access to the data that's needed to support a modern enterprise. And that's for both operating platforms as well as to enable decision-making and insights and enable all the data science applications that I was speaking to before. I'd say a third key dimension for us is ensuring that we've got the the right cybersecurity capabilities. That's a very important focus area for any enterprise today, and that's very much bound up with our broader data strategy. That data strategy, data protection, cybersecurity overlay is critical for any company, but especially one our size, ensuring that we've got our policy owners and our agents, our employees in a safe space in today's world.
Thank you for joining us for the Life Accelerated podcast, undertaken by Insurance Innovation Reporter in partnership with Equisoft. For more relevant content to help you achieve digital transformation, please visit equisoft.com/lifeaccelerated.